I don't want to say the words because I don't want to share it with people who haven't heard it. That's what scares me because that's how I learned it. There was a lot of questioning and what felt like shaming. And it's like, we don't like this, that one step up, and we're going to break you down. It's game on all the time.
We have Crystal in the studio. I'm so excited to interview. I've wanted to interview you forever. I am a huge Housewives fan, which is where I first discovered you. And then I did a deep dive before this interview. And I just feel like there's so much more to you that people don't know. So I wanted to have you on.
Thank you.
Give us some background of how you grew up before all of Housewives, being married, being a mother.
So I grew up in the Valley in Northridge, actually like down the street from where Garcelle currently lives. So every time we film there, I'm very excited because it's like where I grew up. I went to school in LA. I went to UC school for college. I'm just like a LA kid through and through. My parents were immigrants from China and met here in the States. And I grew up in a very sort of like middle upper class life. The weekends was very much East LA with my grandparents. No one spoke English, only Chinese. And then my sort of my weekdays were just like a kid in the Valley. And then I met my husband when I was in college. And we've been together almost 20 years now.
Okay, so I want to go back. So your parents migrated from China and they met here.
Yes.
And
yeah, they came separately.
Were you able to go to China when you were little?
Yeah, so my grandparents were still in Taiwan, my mom's side. My dad has an incredible history, sad history, but he grew up during the revolution. So his family perished.
Oh, wow.
Like when he was a child from starvation. I know it's like a crazy story, but so I only knew my mom's side because I didn't grow up with my dad's family, obviously. And so my mom's parents had lived in Taiwan before they emigrated when we were about 10. So I spent all my summers in China. And then I didn't really go back throughout like middle school and high school because they were all here. And then I started going back. I studied abroad in China. And then I bought a home there. Yeah, when I was 23.
When you were little and you go to China compared to the United States, was it a jarring difference or no because you were immersed in the culture here?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, because I was with my grandparents, it felt a little bit connected, but it's a culture shock. I mean, I'm an American kid. And spending my summers there was magical, but it was also like I couldn't be with my friends. I didn't have those like my family. We didn't have the money to like go to like Hawaii and all those things. I mean, I had been there like once. It was like that was our annual trip. If we could, But my dad was a doctor. It wasn't like we didn't have it, but they were not spenders. So going there was sort of an extension of being home, but it was a culture shock. Yeah.
And were your parents strict, easy, or what was their vibe when you were growing up?
Yeah, what's it like growing up in the Valley?
By the way, I have like a hashtag in my head. I always say hashtag 818 stop the hate. The Valley is amazing. People have a terrible sort of impression of it. I don't know why, but I love the Valley. And I don't live in the Valley, but I say I live Valley adjacent. So
I think it's because it's called the Valley, and it just sounds like, what I mean?
I feel like the Valley's PR has gotten better, though, because I do hear it coming back and people really into it.
Yeah.
Now there's a tequila brand, right?
Yeah.
818. Yeah.
The Kardashians.
Oh, God. Again, triggering.
I know. Yeah. Michael, you got to watch the show if you don't know what she's talking about.
Listen, I am a huge Housewives fan, and you know that. Every time it's on, I tune in.
That is true.
That is true. Listen, she sucked me in over the years. I think I'm pretty caught up.
It's compelling television, isn't it?
Oh my God,
it's hard not to.
Any man that says that he can look away, I don't believe him. I'm like, as soon as they say that, I'm like, nope, can never do anything with you. I don't trust you because it's.
So funny. I used to watch the show, and Rob would walk in, and he's like, "Why are you watching this?" I'm like, "It's just easy." And now, of course, he's so invested. He like watches alone, like he's in the library, and he's like, so now when we get the episodes, we watch it like separately.
I'm in all the franchises.
Hold on. Someone that is literally behind The Lion King is watching Real Housewives. That's pretty incredible.
Look,
you must think it's good cinema.
At the end of the day, it's all drama, right?
It is.
Yeah, it's conflict resolution. So
it's definitely conflict resolution.
Yes, but he's so funny. He always has when he watches it, he's like, when someone has like a crazy line on the show, he's like, oh, I got to figure out how to use that in a movie.
There's so many. There's so many, especially if you're a Real Housewives watcher. Like there's so many one-liners that are iconic from across the board.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. I always wonder this, and obviously being close and adjacent to this world and, you know, dealing with entertainers, what is the motivation or like what's the thought process when you and your husband think about this opportunity? Because obviously you're not novice to what takes place on these channels and entertainment, and you know the business behind it. It's like, what are you guys thinking before you go into the franchise?
Yeah, so I mean, I think we had like kind of one leg up in terms of what to expect.
Sure.
So I was able to, you know, Rob's agent has been with him for 30 years, our lawyers, like all in entertainment. So we really spent a lot of time discussing it with them over months during my interview process. A lot of it was, don't do it, because they love us as a family. They wanted to protect us. At the end of the day, Rob and I knew we would be okay with each other. It wasn't about our relationship. It was what would it expose to our kids. And we knew that they were young enough. They're not on social media. They don't watch the show. They're young. So, but we had a lot of interviewing our friends and, you know, and in the business. And when I started filming, I remember when I was in Tahoe, which was major, that was like my opening. That was a lot. That was my third day of filming ever being on camera. And I called Rob. I was like, they're in my room. And then he had to call his agent, and we were all confused. I'm like, this is off hours. And they called me back. They're like, no, this is reality. There's no off hour. We were very confused because we leaned into it like it was a production, and
Sure.
It is. But it's different. It's not the same as a scripted show at all.
You thought it's like when you get to go in your room and close the door is closed and that's it.
And we're done. Yeah, we're done.
That makes sense. That's how I would think.
Well, that's why we could never do this.
It's not. It's not. It's game on all the time.
Well, look what happened to Lenny in Miami. Lisa and Lenny. Hot mic moment. I mean, he probably thought no one was listening, and he's in his.
Well, look, if you have a mic on, but the thing is, I didn't have a mic on. So I'm like really like shut down for the night, and then it kept going. So that's when it was like, you guys, this is like his agent, like, this is what it is. Like, I'm like, okay. So then I had to go back in and.
You know what I would do? This is what I would do. Get some mouth tape, like mouth tape that you can tape your mouth shut when you're sleeping, and put it on when you go in the room. So they're not good. They know, because you know, I tape my mouth shut when I'm sleeping. It's really good for your breathing.
What?
It's really good for your
It's just
breathing.
a big thing on this. Well, it's actually become like a big
yes,
thing.
I tape
Is
my
that
mouth
safe?
shut every night for the last 4 months.
Well, what happened is
By choice?
Yeah.
Are you okay with that?
Well, they've done well. Yeah, I mean, it's great. I don't. It's like
What?
Sometimes
he went
I just
and got
handed
it for me the other night because I forgot it.
Honestly, sometimes just in the day I'll just pass over the mouth tape too.
Oh my God.
No, I'm just kidding.
But here's gonna be Rob's gonna love
But
this.
no, they did this whole
Buy me
study on mouth breathers versus nose breathers, and you
Okay.
want to be a nose breather because obviously it keeps your jaw in place and it's better for your immune system. All these things, and they basically studied these two twins. I'm going to butcher this, and one was a nose breather, one was a mouth breather, and over time it like just distorts your face and ruins your breathing. You get worse sleep. You know, like if you're not breathing through your nose as you're supposed to.
Cavity is better breath if you tape your mouth shut.
Tongue is not in the right place. So think
a billion
about it.
things. But the point of this is what I was saying is if when next time you're on a trip, put some mouth tape on,
Okay.
because they're gonna know she can't talk with mouth tape and she's going to bed. It's like signals, like there's an undertone.
I don't think they care. I think they'd film that too. I think
They're gonna film me with the mouth tape. Do you realize how crazy I'm gonna look?
Then put put Real Coco's Instagram.
Yeah. Wait. Is it just tape, or is it actually?
No, it's like a specific.
I'll show you before you leave. It's like
Okay.
a specific
Wow.
brand. It's V10, I think, and it's amazing.
Okay.
It works. Trust
Wow.
me. That's just a tangent. Okay.
Fascinating.
Let's go back.
Okay, sorry.
But if you're not a mouth breather, then like you don't have that issue, then you just would never know. I'm not a mouth breather. I'm a nose breather too. So
I don't know. Maybe I'm not sure. But
no,
okay.
I bet you're a nose breather.
Okay.
You definitely have the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taylor, you're for sure a mouth breather.
Oh, yeah, that
Just
guy
so you
back
know,
there, for
Taylor
sure,
back there is
for
for
sure.
sure a mouth breather. Okay. So your brother is
Yes.
a famous pop star. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes.
In China.
In China.
Okay. How old were you guys when this happened, and how did he even go about this if you guys are living here?
Yeah, easy. So my brother went to Michigan, and I went to UC Irvine. When he went to Michigan, he studied abroad in China. And when I was at Irvine, I studied abroad in China. It was just what you do as Chinese kids, right? Like you go back. He never came home from studying abroad. He was at Michigan studying business and then went to China and then somehow, long story, got a record deal and then called my mom. My mom's like, over my dead body. What are you talking about? And then I think because I just started dating Rob. And then my mom, I grew up in a pretty Chinese household. And I think then she saw like, oh, maybe you can have a career in the arts. It was all arts to her, right? Directing, singing, whatever. Which is not something you naturally do in an Asian household. It's just not, unless your parents are in the arts, right? My parents were not. So she said, okay, you can record an album, but you got to finish Michigan. So he flew back for the summer and finished a year and a half of school in a summer. He just like killed it and went back, recorded an album, and won MTV Best New Artist Asia.
And what happens to his life? Does it just blow? Like he can't like get a moment alone anymore?
No, it's like, it's been 20 years. So like, pop stars have their peak and whatever. So at that time it was, but he started at an era of China where like things were opening up. So he really grew with the country and it was very exciting. So then that's why, Rob and I bought a place there a couple years after. So we started spending a lot of time there too. But yeah, so I think he has like 5 or 6 albums. I don't know. It was so out of sight, out of mind though, because I was living in LA and I was like, so he's like, oh, I got to call you back. I'm filming like, a music video. I'm like, okay, bye. Like it was so distant and random to me. It wasn't.
That makes sense because Michael took me to Beijing when we first started dating.
Oh, okay.
And I was in the cab.
See the way they looked at her over there.
I liked it. I felt famous.
Yeah. Well, you are. You are just by nature famous there.
She came out, new boob job. They were like, what's happening here?
But I was making friends with our cab driver and asking her all about the Kardashians, and she had no idea.
Oh, no.
And so that makes sense to me that you're saying that you were separated from your brother's success because it is so separated.
Yeah. I mean, it's its own country, its own language. He sings in Chinese. So when I go there, it was fun, so I got sort of a glimpse into like the Hollywood of China, but it's different than here. The States they respond to celebrity differently.
What do you mean?
Like in China, it's more managed and it's also like, it's more wholesome. Here, it's like more
voyeuristic.
Yeah. And they're also like, they want to see people crash and burn here. It's not like that in China.
I was just talking to someone about that. I was just talking about how people build you up to tear you down to then neutralize you. It's so interesting. When I ever see a famous like Instagrammer or TikToker go super viral, you'll notice the human nature is then to tear it down. And they do this in Housewives too. Of course. And then they neutralize you. So it's like it is an interesting thing that's really prominent in America.
Yes.
Quick break to talk about AG1 Athletic Greens, one of our favorite partners, one of our favorite supplements. It is your one-stop shop, all-in-one scoop, all-in-one bang. This thing is the most you're going to get bang for your buck in one place. Like I said, I take it every single morning. Lauryn takes it every single morning. We take it when we travel. We carry the travel packs, and then we have the big bag at home. We put it in a heaping glass of water every single morning. It reminds us also to hydrate. What I love about this is you get all of these nutrients, adaptogens, and vitamins all in one place. It really is your multivitamin for the day. I don't think I could start my day anymore without this. I have been talking about this product for so long on this show because I think it is absolutely incredible. For someone like me who does not do a good job of getting my greens in so consistently, this has been an absolute game changer. And if you're someone that struggles to get your vitamins, your minerals, your supplements, your greens in one day, this could also be a game changer for you too. It's also, like I said, going to remind you to hydrate first thing in the morning. That's so important. We talk about hydration on this show. And what I love about this is you cannot take this powder without hydrating. So it's made with 75 super high quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source ingredients that deliver benefits like mood, immune system enhancement, sleep support, sustained energy, and so much more. Of course, it's all clean ingredients. And we have a special offer for you. If you want to take ownership of your health today is a good time to start. Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/skinny. That's athleticgreens.com/skinny. Check it out, athleticgreens.com/skinny. Symbiotica, one of our favorite brands on the planet. We just had Shervin, the founder of Symbiotica, on this show for the 4th time. I think it's a record. We were trying to figure that out on the show. How many other guests have been on 4 times? There may be 1, maybe 2, and I can't think of them off the top of my mind, but 4 times. You know, if we're having somebody back that often, it's because they really know their shit. They are very interesting. They have the answers that we're looking for. And Symbiotica has become integral to this show. We take so many of their products. We recommend so many of their supplements. One of my favorites is their vitamin D3 and CoQ10. They have just such an incredible line of supplements. I think the go-tos that we were talking about on the show is even if you're just starting with their vitamin D3 and their B12 and their magnesium, that is a solid base for anyone to get their foot in the door. What I love about these supplements is they're liposomal, so you actually eat them. It's like food. It's not like taking just a pill. You actually eat this stuff and you actually digest it. So it's a whole different delivery system and you get a ton of benefits from doing so. Symbiotica products are made with the highest quality bioavailable ingredients and the most advanced delivery system, like I said. And like always, we have an exclusive discount code for you. Just visit symbiotica.com/skinny. That's CYMBIOTIKA.com/skinny for 15% off site wide. If you're just getting started, I would definitely, like I said, start with the vitamin B12, the vitamin D3, CoQ10, and the glutathione. I think those are absolute game changers that are going to completely enhance your life. Again, symbiotica.com/skinny for 15% off site wide. Let's talk about hydration and specifically getting the right electrolytes to replenish your system and make sure that you're hydrated throughout the day, throughout your workouts. If you're dehydrated, you're going to notice a bunch of different things. You're going to notice brain fog. You're going to notice that you get tired throughout the day. You're going to notice your workouts are not as good. It is so important to stay hydrated, also for weight management and just efficiency in the overall body and system. So this is why I love talking about Element. Element is a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing you don't. That means lots of salt with no sugar. It contains science-backed electrolyte ratios of 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium, which is everything you need to get the proper electrolyte synthesis into your system. It's got none of the junk, no sugar, no coloring, no artificial ingredients, no gluten, no filler, no BS. And Element is formulated to help anyone with their electrolyte needs and is perfectly suited to folks following a keto, low-carb, paleo diet. Here's how I take it. Lauren and I go to the gym, I throw it in the water during the workout, and I stay hydrated and replenished the whole time. It's easy to use and it all tastes good. Right now, Element is offering our listeners a free sample pack with any purchase. That's 8 single serving packets free with any Element order. This is a great way to try all 8 flavors or share Element with a salty friend. Get yours at drinkelement.com/skinny. This deal is only available through our link. You must go to drinklmnt.com/skinny. Try it totally risk-free. If you don't like it, share it with a salty friend and they will give you your money back. No questions asked. You have nothing to lose. drinkelement.com/skinny. There's a famous Chinese restaurant, Zhang Zhizong. I'm not saying his name, but he moved next door to my parents.
You're not saying his name right at all.
Zhang is his first name. He produced that show.
Close.
It's like the Game of Thrones of China. Like it's something the Monkey King or Monkey, and he produced it. And he's like the Spielberg over there. But he moved over here because over there, he's like, he can't walk the streets. But he said it's all, what he was telling me, he said it's so safe and it's like people admire him.
Yeah.
But he comes here and he's like, nobody knows who he is.
Yeah.
Like he's in the grocery store and they have no, like Americans have no clue. And over there, he's like the king, right?
Totally. But that's why I laugh at my brother because in China, he like would run, like, he started when he was 20. So he was like running the clubs and he was everywhere. And like here, he's like outside waiting in line for like an hour. I'm like, no one gives a shit about you.
There's no crossover.
Yeah. Like, and I'm like, it humbles you a little bit. He's like, I can't get in anywhere. I'm like, whatever. No one gives a shit about you.
That's amazing.
It's really funny. Yeah.
At what point and where and when, and you talked a little bit about this on Juicy Scoop, did you meet Rob?
So I met him in 2003. It was the end of my sophomore year. And he was directing Haunted Mansion for Disney right around the corner. And he was having a birthday party for his friend. And my friend knew the person who's having the birthday party.
Okay.
She was invited.
And were you expecting anything out of this night? Or was this one of those nights you just threw it together?
Yeah, I was like I was at Irvine and I drove down and I was not like a party girl at all. I was like very straight-laced and I really am still. Like I just came down to go out with my friend and at a birthday party. And then I met Rob and I remember like he's social until he's not. And then it was like, oh,
I get it.
Until he's not, yeah.
Yeah.
He's like a classic artist, like this Rob. And so he was just sitting, he had a piano in his office and he was just kind of like playing piano on his own. And It's so funny because that's how we met, because he was like not engaging with anybody. But like, it's the thing that drives me crazy as a husband. I'm like, pay attention, you know? But because he was like that, I just ended up sitting with him, and we were like, because I didn't know anybody and I was so young. And then we were just talking, and then we just kept talking, and we've been together ever since.
And had you already launched your business, or this is way after?
No, I launched my business when I was 29.
Okay, so when you guys got together,
yeah,
how long did you guys wait to have kids? I'm just trying to get the whole lay of the land.
So, 2003, we got married 2007, and then so we waited like almost 5 years to get married, and then we waited another. So I didn't have Max until 2012.
Michael and I did that.
I think that's nice. You gotta
great.
You gotta have a life with someone first.
Oh yeah, we had 10 years together without.
Isn't that nice to have?
Yeah, because you need to. I mean, look, need whatever that word is. Like, I know what it's like to live my life with him in a very meaningful way without kids.
Yep.
Because I think that can be a struggle. Like, the kid thing adds a whole other element of stress and dynamic change and all that. And so I get to refer back to it. And so something that Rob and I always do every year is we obviously travel the kids a lot, but we take a 2-week trip out of the country to a new country every year together alone. And we've done that since Max was 1 year old.
I was going to ask you about that because we have young kids. And I'm like, what is that the move?
That's
you just
inspiring.
go. That's the move.
You go
and
for
they
2
adjust.
weeks.
2 weeks.
And they're fine.
12 to 14 days. Yes. And they're fine. We went to Machu Picchu. We do all these things. Because at first I was like, oh, I don't want to go there because I want to bring the kids. And Rob is the type, he's like, you'll go again. He is like very, he's very forward thinking, and he doesn't believe in like, he's just like, we'll go next year. Doesn't matter.
Sounds
just
like he doesn't have the box around him.
No,
like
he does not. But he's an animator, you know? He's like, he creates. He's a dreamer. He's a creator. So he's just like, no, we go. And I'm like, okay, great. So I don't feel like guilty anymore. It's like, we'll take them when they care, you know? But yes, you gotta go away. They'll be fine.
Because we've been going away for like maybe 3-4 days max.
I get it. It's hard.
You get to stretch it a little bit.
Yeah. But I have family here.
Yeah.
Lucy lives with us. So they have a lot of the same that and our kids do not like, they're fine when we leave. They're not like, that's hard. When I see kids like crying when they walk out, and the parents walk out of the house, they're like, bye, see you. Like, just, they'll FaceTime me.
You can tell your kids are independent on the show.
Yes.
They're independent. No, that's good. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
For anyone who's listening that doesn't have context of who your husband is, can you explain it? I don't really know. I don't think I'm going to do it eloquently. There's so much, I don't know, like, where do you want me to start?
Rob is a director, and he started his career at Disney, and he directed his first full feature was The Lion King.
That's a good first.
Yeah. A good first.
Not a bad first.
Yeah.
When you say he directed, like, explain that with a cartoon, because my brain doesn't understand that.
Yeah, he gets that question all the time, so I've heard him answer this.
Okay.
So so each department runs a character, like Simba's a department, you know, Mufasa's a department, and also the landscape and color. And so he will literally have a meeting every 15 minutes. So if you see his calendar, it's bananas. And so the lead of like Simba will come in, and they have a team of maybe 30 people. And so his job is to make sure everything is coherent, because everyone's drawing something separately, right? So it's like everyone has their own literally pen or paintbrush, and he needs to make one drawing at the end of the day. And so he's making sure everything works together coherently. It takes like 2 years to do.
So someone who draws Simba, the Mufasa is a different drawer.
Yes.
Even though they
have a whole team on their own.
Nothing looks disjointed.
Correct. That's his job, is to join.
So he's making it seamless.
Yes.
That's so interesting though, because if you were to ask me, I would say it's the same animator everywhere, because it does look the same.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
crazy.
Like
it's interesting when he does live action. He's like, you know, you have to deal with people who are actors who are adjusting and, you know, their own personality. Where animation, like every lash, every blink is designed.
Oh my gosh.
And so that's why it takes so long.
So Lion King, Haunted Mansion, he's done.
Stuart Little's.
Yeah. I'm going to show Zaza Stuart Little's. I haven't showed her that yet. Okay. So you decide to launch, I believe, with your brother, Real Coco.
Yes.
Okay. How does that come about? Why do you decide to do that?
Yeah. So Jeff was in China, and my best friend actually, when Jeff was studying abroad, I brought my best friend from high school to visit my brother in China, and he ended up also just learning. He's like white, but he like learned Chinese. He saw the future of China, ended up moving there. And he called my brother and he's like, I have access to, he was starting to do like manufacturing. And he called Jeff and he said, do you want to start this brand? And then my brother wanted to cross it over to the States because we were getting our coconuts from Southeast Asia. So then I came on board and we started this brand when I was 29.
Wow.
And yeah, it's amazing. We're actually this largest organic coconut company in the world right now.
Wow, good for you.
I know.
Pretty impressive.
You got to brag a little bit. When I
listen,
but you got to brag about. You were talking, I think, about
went
Costco.
Down. It was a quiet brag
about Costco, like what you guys did there, about stocking the shelves, like really, like. I mean, I was impressed with what you were saying. Like, there's a lot to it. Explain a little bit more of the business, the behind the scenes of what it's doing.
So, it was really kind of exciting to have a Asian-based company, but at the end of the day, like I wanted to also expand to the States. And so we started in China, primarily in it's called BHG, which is like their Whole Foods. We got very like, it's hard to get shelf space to begin with.
Is that a bigger market or is this a bigger market?
I would say U.S. is a big market. Okay. U.S. is China's big. It's our second largest.
Sure.
It's like movies, right? Like America's always number one, and then
I heard that's going to flip soon, though. I mean, it's like
it will.
Yeah.
It will. I mean, with COVID, we'll see. But that was on the track to happen. But it's interesting because plant-based products were starting. It's actually very new, right? You hear like soy milk and then almond milk, and then I think soy has really kind of had its ran its course.
I think soy's done. I don't think it's good for us men.
It's not good. So, but what I loved about coconuts, it's the most sustainable nut-based water in the world. And so we don't have to put sprinklers. Everything is naturally recycled through rainwater. And so for us, even that was like our cost came down. We didn't take any investment. We just did it ourselves.
Oh, that's hard.
Very hard. We have no debt. And we were like, let's just try this like grassroots job because Jeff was still singing. We all had our own stuff going on. So it wasn't like all eggs and, we weren't like putting up our houses for this, but it took a long time where I think other brands would have grown maybe more quickly or could have died quickly. We just kept pushing and Costco, we had a couple products at Costco, but now we're in every region other than Texas, but that's coming this year. So we're going to be in 100% of Costco's this year, which is wild.
That is insane.
Wild.
That's insane.
And I'm a big Costco shopper, so.
And I always, when I look at your Instagram, I look at like all the drinks that you're making with this. She makes like the best food, which I want to ask you about in a second.
Thanks.
But you make like cocktails with this.
Yeah, tell Lauryn about food because if I get one home cooked meal in the next 10 years, it'll be a miracle.
This is where I'm really going to help you then. Well, I fell in love with cooking when my mom didn't cook. I'm sorry, Mom. It's the truth. She doesn't cook. I was a Costco baby. Like everything was microwaved and frozen. But all our friends' moms seemed to cook. And so Jeff and I would go to our friend like next door and they would feed us all this like great food. So my brother and I both love to cook. I think it's like skips a generation, And
yeah, because you know what? Her parents, both Mom and Dad were phenomenal. And her dad's in the restaurant business. So I guess I got the skip.
Yeah. So your kids will, they'll cook. But like my mom didn't. And so like I really wanted that. So, and then Food Network was really sort of on the rise and getting popular. So it was like my background TV. We'd only watch World Poker Tour and Food Network. That's it.
Okay.
Like around the clock. And then I was like starting to cook, like trying recipes. And I remember the moment where I was like, I want to go to farmer's market and just see what's fresh and see if I can make something. And it was like an utter fail. Like I just did not know what to do other than reading a book. Like I was a science major, And so what I did was, because I liked school, is I went to culinary school. And I was
You're telling me, let me go to culinary school.
Yeah.
Why, what am I supposed to do with 2 kids? I have to go to culinary school?
Well, I didn't have kids yet.
Okay. Lauren, listen, I need you to.
I might have missed the boat, Michael.
This was that 5-year awesome break.
His second wife can cook.
I need you to get back in school.
Okay, so you went to culinary school?
Yeah. So I
bet that'd be fun, though.
It was amazing.
Because like I still have nightmares about waking up and doing tests. I hated school. I was the worst. I think I got kicked out of every school I ever went into. But that school, I feel like I could get behind.
You don't fail.
Yeah.
Wait, so
you can make great food.
They literally taught you everything on how to cook.
Yeah. So I went to a French-based school, and so what's interesting is like a lot of people, I wouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people can do any recipe because you just follow the instructions. But what culinary school teaches you the base of food. So it's like, this is your heat source. This is your protein source. And then how do you cook it from there? Everything about flavors is like your own design, right? Like, so you're talking about roasting, braising, sauteing, like every base level. And how does a protein how is it affected by the heat source? That's how I think about it. I'm like, it's like science to me. And then it's like, do you use water? Do you use like all those added liquid sources? How does that work? And so I was just fascinated by it. And I had so much fun. And I think that's what got me into starting a food product like Real Coco, because I also loved watching, there was a show called Unwrapped. And it was literally a 30-minute show about food factories. And I would watch it. I'm like, I dreamt of having a food factory. And I think that's why I don't have a factory here. My factories are in Asia, but I just loved the like factory line of like, I just loved all that. So yeah, that's why I started.
Let me ask you this. What is the time commitment if you just wanted like a base level of cooking skill?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, can you go at night?
Because I know obviously there's levels, so we'll say their whole life.
Were you going 9 to 5?
Yeah, I did a full program.
You did 9 to 5, 5 days a week.
No, but say someone like me gets interested. I'm like, hey, I want to go and just learn exactly what you're talking about, the basics, the heat, and I want to be able to come out and put a basic dish together at any time, but better than what the average Joe.
I think there's probably like 6-week programs that you could do it like once a week at night.
Well, maybe we should do that. It might be fun to do together.
Because I do remember there was people in my program that were like chefs already at restaurants, but they wanted to become executive chefs, so they needed the degree. So they would come, like they were on a different night program.
Huh.
But I was like free as a bird. I was like, whatever. So I didn't work that year because we were about to move to China for a movie Rob was directing. And then we were going to think about kids and the whole thing. So I was like, I'm going to take this year off and just go to culinary school.
I mean, it's obviously
it was
paid
a luxury.
off.
It was a luxury.
It's paid off.
I might pause this whole operation and just go to culinary school. I'm going to tell everyone in this office, I'm going to say, guys, listen, I'll be back in a year. I got to go learn how to cook some stuff.
By the way, then you can have
Sounds
your own
nice.
factory.
I would love if you learned how to cook. I'll sit there and you can cook.
Taylor, take
By the
over
way, my
this thing.
husband's very happy with it too.
You have been so open on the show about your journey with food in a different way. You've talked about being bulimic, which personally, and I really appreciated because there's a lot of housewives that are not vulnerable like that. And I think that was your point the whole season. You were trying to say there's an undertone. You were trying to be like, a lot of you guys, maybe not just Beverly Hills, are not being vulnerable. So I'm going to open up. And I found that refreshing and youthful.
Thank you. I'm just
refreshing
millennially. I know. Thank you for saying that. I'm by nature very vulnerable. I'm by nature very open because I've gotten to a place where I'm no longer feeling shame about it and feeling embarrassed by it, because I know there's so many people that experience it and suffer every day, and like they shouldn't feel shameful about it. So it's like the idea of where you're like, take your own advice. I'm like, I'm taking my own advice, right? That I would give to someone, like, don't feel bad about it. But actually, the cooking thing is people don't understand. They're like, how do you cook and you have this disorder? It actually is all encompassing, because I wanted to also appreciate food where I hated it. It was like the enemy to me. Every time I'd go out, it was like I would look at the menu and I'd suffer about it. Where now that I know how to cook, it's like nourishing me, and it has really helped my progress and my recovery.
Amazing. Smart.
I know. And
because
I didn't know it was that strong then. It was sort of just, it was like I was just like throwing darts at and like maybe this will help. Maybe like, because I would avoid food. I remember thinking like I would do all these diets that was like avoiding food, right? Eat broccoli with, like boiled chicken. And so then it was like when you diet and become obsessed with everything you're eating, that didn't work. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to not eat. And that didn't, it just got bad. So I was like, maybe I'll learn to love food. And then that was for me. I don't know if that works for everybody, but that worked for me.
Was there a point in your life or an event that triggered this? Like that basically made you start having this relationship with food in an unhealthy way? Like, do you remember something specifically that happened?
I do. I'm sure it was somewhere already. I don't think one thing can just trigger out of nowhere. But I know the moment how I started my disorder. And I was in school. And, when you go to they have sex ed, they have all the home ec stuff. They showed a video about body image and eating disorders. And they described how to do it in the video, which I'm sure is no longer shown in schools.
I remember that. I saw that. I know what you're talking about.
And so I was like, oh, wow, that's how you get skinny? This is what people are doing. And then I copied it that day. And
there was
it.
one that they showed too that actually showed the girl throwing up after a meal, it was like a movie or something.
There was a movie. I remember that.
I was like a reenactment of
I remember that.
So you learn by example.
There's two sisters, right, in the movie?
I didn't watch the movie. Ours was very specifically, it was to not do it. It was a reenact. It was they showed it in class. And so they showed a lot of different things in class. Even saying it, I don't want to say the words because I don't want to share it with people who haven't heard it. That's what scares me because that's how I learned it. But there were all these different things that they showed us that people did, which was supposed to scare us, right? Remember they showed us the drug videos,
right?
Which scared me. That worked for me. This one went the opposite direction for me. So then whatever it was breeding in me, now I had an outlet. An actual outlet, and that's what happened.
You know what's so funny you say that about the Dare videos too is we've had people come on and say the opposite, right? The Dare videos actually encourage them, right? So it's same thing here, right? Yeah, I think hopefully they've learned a bit. I don't think you can actually just scare people into or out of action, right? It's
right because everyone's different. So everyone's gonna pick up, learn something, negate something. There's not one way, and the intention was positive. It wasn't like they designed to do this. But in my case, I know that I'm not the only one that happened to.
When you start down this journey of having a disorder, do you know right away it's a disorder, or does it take 5 years, or does it take 10 years? What is it like to be encompassed by this? I mean, I can imagine it's a lot.
Well, I was 11. So at 11, I don't even know if I knew the word disorder. It was just a response to a feeling. That's all. When you're a kid, you want to do whatever makes you feel good. And so that even though it was not comfortable, I suddenly felt better somehow. And so I've gone through therapy about it where they're like, the reason why you hold on to it is because your memory as a child is positive because it gave you something positive. And that's why it's hard to break those things, because at the time it was masking or giving you something that you were missing in your life or whatever it was. And it's a coping mechanism. So that's why it's hard to let go. And now it's a negative thing, but that's why habits are hard to break because it's
familiar.
Yeah.
A lot of people who have come on here who've talked about an eating disorder or talked about when they throw up, and I think you might have actually said this on the show too, that there's a relief, a release that comes with it. So to me, when I heard that, I would think it'd be easy to become addicted to the release.
Yes.
It's almost like picking up a drink when you're stressed out.
Yes. So everyone has their own thing. It's
right.
Just bulimia, and it's even hard to say the word, but it's a very... people don't like to talk about it. It seems dirty. It's like the bad one of all of those things. But yes, there is, I would have anxiety feeling full. That's just my thing. And then, yes, as you start to get used to that, then your anxiety grows, and then the release feeling grows. So you have to figure out a way. Everyone's journey is different. But that's why the cooking thing was so massive for me, because I tried to then take the feeling of being full as a positive thing.
The Skinny Confidential Him and Her show is brought to you by BetterHelp. All right,
Therapy. So many people have benefited from therapy. I know that therapy is definitely a tool in my toolbox that has really helped me in the past. But to be able to do it entirely online is the most convenient, flexible thing ever. You can literally make it suit your schedule. So if you want to do a call or a video, they got you covered. You don't have to do a video if you don't want to. And BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on a journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. You could just talk about everyday life. You could talk about burnout at work. You could talk about something you've gone through in the past, childhood, whatever you want. All you do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, you should give BetterHelp a try. You can do this all from the comfort of your home. And I just think it's a great way to get to know yourself better. It gives you sort of a sense of self-awareness, in my opinion. And it's also an outside perspective that's not so close to your life, right? It's giving you a different perspective. It's a more stepped back perspective than getting advice from like a loved one or a family member or a partner. So of course we have a code for you. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/skinny today and you get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/skinny. You can hear it in my voice right now. I am a little under the weather, which is not fun, but I'm not that mad about it because I have Beekeeper's Naturals. This is my medicine cabinet. I give it to my kids. Michael takes it. I take it. I have the elderberry syrup. It's like this nighttime syrup that I've been taking every night for the last 5 days. And it coats my throat so I don't wake up in the middle of the night coughing. It's absolutely incredible. The elderberry just calms your throat and makes you feel so much better. It is probably the best cough syrup I've ever used in my life. And the best part, it's all natural and they use propolis in it to support your immune system. They also have this throat spray that I've been carrying around because I have a scratchy throat. The medicinal use of propolis is insane. It's such a great thing to incorporate or even make over your entire medicine cabinet. I have these little boxes for Zaza and Towns in their room. I keep them out of reach, and in it, I definitely have my propolis spray and this specific syrup for a cough and a cold. You got to try it. Today, Beekeepers Naturals is offering you an exclusive offer. You're going to go to beekeepersnaturals.com/skinny or enter code skinny. You get 20% off your first order. That's beekeepersnaturals.com/skinny or enter code skinny. Beekeepers Naturals products are also available at Target, Whole Foods, CVS, and Walgreens. Start feeling better every day today. If you've been listening to the show and you have not tried Perfect Bar, you are missing out. We are obsessed at my house with the dark chocolate chip peanut butter with sea salt. It's crunchy, it's perfect, it's creamy cookie dough texture, and it's absolutely insane when you put it in the fridge. But the best part of it, and the reason I can't stop talking about these bars, is it has 17 grams of protein. So if you're with a partner who gets a little hangry, these are perfect to satisfy a little crunch, a little chew, and also just fill them up, if you know what I mean, in a quick, efficient way. They also have bars for kids. I like to give them to Zaza that have 6 grams of protein. She thinks she's like getting a cookie because they taste so good. The other flavors that I like, if you're going to get other flavors, are the dark chocolate chip peanut butter, the coconut peanut butter, and the cookie dough. They contain no artificial preservatives and they're stored in the fridge. I keep mine in a little acrylic box in my fridge so everyone in the family can just grab them on the go. They're perfect for on the go, literally Perfect Bar. Perfect Bar knows it will be love at first bite. So for a limited time, they're offering you a chance to try their refrigerated protein bars for free. Here's how it works. Sign up for email or text and upload a picture of your receipt from your local grocery store. They will reimburse you for the cost of 1 bar directly into your Venmo or PayPal account. This is so cool. All you have to do is go to perfectsnacks.com/skinny to get a free Perfect Bar today. That's perfectsnacks.com/skinny. You get a free Perfect Bar today. Happy snacking. Oh, that's smart.
And
Because
maybe you
it was
appreciate
good for me. Yeah.
the love you're putting into the food too.
Yes.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
It's a wild journey for me, but that's where it was.
I think it's incredible that you spoke out about it. I think that there is a taboo around it.
What was the backlash when you did? Maybe I missed.
There
I mean, I know
backlash.
No backlash against me.
I bet you had thousands of DMs that were good.
Yeah,
I'm talking about with the women on the show. You said you were alluding to.
There was
do you have 2 days?
Oh. I remember.
I mean, I'll let you say what I have my own opinion, but you say what
what's your opinion though?
I mean, it's almost like they were scared to talk about
it. It's like maybe it's like I feel the previous generations hit a lot of shame and won't talk about a lot of things that many like they won't talk about a lot. You know, all of us grew up with this. Like there's a certain part of the human condition that was off limits until recently.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like so many things that we talk about on this show, like people in the beginning are like, oh, this is so taboo. And I'm like, well.
And not, we need to talk about it.
Yeah. And so I feel like it's a generational thing where some of those taboo subjects are just like, whoa, it's off limits.
That's exactly the undertone of it. It was almost like it was a reflection of them instead of looking at it from your perspective and putting themselves in your shoes. It brought out something in them that they didn't want to look at.
It's almost like, whoa, why are you bringing
Here's the thing that I always tell everyone. The audience is way smarter than anything.
I'm so happy to hear you guys talking about that because it's so hard to experience it and also watch it back because it was almost like they didn't believe me. And if they did, it was like, you're not allowed to have this experience. And I'm like, I don't even know what to tell you. It's like, my hair's black. Like, I can't, like, this is it. Like, it's a factual situation. But there was a lot of questioning and what felt like shaming. And, but again, I because I'm so kind of long and deep in my journey, I really didn't allow that in. I was like, I went home like, they're doing this is on them. And like, I cannot accept that because at the end of the day, I go home to my life, to my body, to my experience, my person. And like, there's not any show that is going to get in the way of my recovery. So I was like, I just like pushed it away.
Do you think some of the cast members across the franchises just get caught up too much in the show and it like becomes too much of their real life?
Of course.
Like, yeah.
Yes.
No, I think you have to go into it not allowing it to penetrate. And I think that speaks to how far you've come within your recovery. I mean, to be able to sort of have a boundary around it.
Yeah.
When you remember the scene, I think when Erica comes up to her and starts talking about like laxatives and she's drunk. Did you remember that or no?
I remember. So yeah, I mean, like
it was.
I tune in, but I'm trying to I remember.
Yeah, like pockets.
Pockets of it.
I mean, that was
right, highly insensitive. But then I think about her, where people are like, why didn't you blast her for that?
You have to have empathy for her.
I have empathy because it's like the moment where you're like, when did you know? And I'm like, I don't think she realizes that she maybe suffers through one too. Like taking laxatives is a form of an eating disorder because one of my best friends suffer through that. And I'm like, so it's not I would never shame someone that what I'm going through, even though because she's being highly insensitive. I think it's just pure ignorance. I don't think it was like.
So do I.
Yeah.
So do I. But what I think the most important moral of all of this story is that the audience does have the ability to see what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that's smart that you went home and you didn't let it penetrate.
The audience.
Yeah, I didn't. It stings in the moment for a second. I can't lie. I'm not going to be like, that didn't, like, I'm a human and I feel those things. The actual moment I felt embarrassed. That's the experience in that moment. When someone says that to you, you're like, you feel sort of like weirdly on display and you're on a show. So I understand that's the whole idea. But like, because it's so personal, that's why I just sort of retreat. And then I don't allow that in. But it stings sometimes.
Do you think that one of the reasons that people were uncomfortable because you decided to open up about something that was so personal and so vulnerable, and maybe that exposed that other people weren't opening up about things that were vulnerable in their own lives?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to go there, but I also think it's such a foreign concept if you really don't suffer through it. Like I don't think people want to understand it. It feels a little bit heavy, and I don't think we want to touch that subject for some reason.
Well, I want to touch it in the sense that I want to say if someone's listening and they're struggling, is there anything a tool in your toolbox that's really helped? Is it a bunch of different things? Is there any, I don't want to say tips, but any takeaways that you've learned through this experience to give to someone who may need them?
I mean, I got, like you said, I got thousands of DMs about it. I got so many that people said, I got a lot that said, I never knew I had eating disorder until everything you were describing is what I go through. I got a lot of, I've never said it out loud to one person in my life. I've had it for 30 years. Like people really shared with me. Like, and I just think it's one day at a time. And if you feel successful in a day, great. And if you fail the next day, it's not a failure at all. Like it is a long-term process to get through. And it's just really when it becomes, it's always a health hazard. But if you really feel like it's that point, it's like try to seek help. There's a lot of avenues. I mean, there's a lot of different associations that people can reach out to, but it's scary. I mean, it's a scary thing to talk about. I didn't talk about it for so long. I mean, my friends knew. If you have your close friends know. If you're around people, they can tell, and a really good friend will bring it up. But there's a lot of resources, but people can just message me. I talk to everybody about it.
Nice.
If you DM me about that, we're talking.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah.
Be careful what you wish for.
It's a lot. I know it's a lot, but
oh my gosh, that's incredible. I think the more you talk about it, it sounds like you want to be more active in helping people recover. And I think that's where this all started, which is so crazy, is it started with Housewives. It seems like
I know. I mean, I never thought in my life, like it was not something I was going to talk about.
I think it's great. I think it's great.
So hindsight, you go back in time, you doing the show or you're not doing the show? How are we feeling about it at this point?
I mean, every day I go back and forth. You know, it's uprooted my life in the craze. I'm very lucky. I have a very great normal life.
But here's the way I think about this. So we get to do this and curate this. We've done it for 7 years. And we've had all sorts of, we get to talk to people like you and all these people. But it's this thing that we control and it's environment that we can kind of turn up or turn down. And people kind of, you know, they don't feel maybe as entitled to what we're doing in our life as maybe they do to someone in your position. Like I watch, like we have all these people that come on these shows and I feel like the microscope that you guys get put under once you go, it's got to be intense in a different way even than like an actor or a traditional celebrity. It's like, because there's still a little like, but like people feel entitled to know every aspect of everything you're doing now.
Yes, it's true. And I have a lot of empathy for that concept when people expect that, because I know as a viewer of random shows, like I feel that way, and I have to check myself all the time, but I understand why. You know, they feel like you signed up, now we get to just scrutinize all day long. It's hard, but because I have a very big life and very normal life, I have a ton of friends. I'm from here, so when I can shut it off and go back to that. Whereas, like, I think a lot of people can't. It all gets blended into their lives and it takes over them. Like, but I would have never done it had I felt like it would have been too much chaos in my family. And that grounds me when I go back to it. But I think, you know, it's fine because I've been with Rob for so long. So I've seen sort of the other side of the business. And so I think I'm less affected.
And this is a kind of a protective environment here in Los Angeles in a way.
Yes, it is.
Because we moved out to Texas part-time. Now we're there full-time, right?
Okay.
And it's a different environment.
Yeah.
Right? In LA, I feel like it's a little bubble where if you've been here and you're used to it, you kind of know what to expect.
Like everybody's in the business. I grew up with friends who are actors. When I was in school, they'd be gone for 2 weeks filming. Like you sort of see that and then you get desensitized to it.
Yeah, and like in a way, I remember Lauryn, like you're sitting down and like Oprah Winfrey sitting down, and everyone's kind of like, okay, like but if you prop Oprah out in the middle of Texas,
hold on.
I mean, she's still.
Oprah was here.
No, but she's still. I mean, but
That's a true story.
It's true.
That's
but
a true
people
story.
are being normal.
No, what he's saying is because Oprah was there, it's like you can't think you're great if Oprah's sitting over there. You know what I mean? Like
that's,
it's like what you're gonna think like.
That's not only what I'm saying. I'm saying people, even though it was like, listen, everyone is aware that Oprah's there.
Yeah, you're gonna keep it together more.
But if Oprah's popped up in some other places, like it's just not. It's mob. It's not happening.
Yeah, exactly. So so it's all relative. But
Oprah's a big listener, so when she hears that, she's gonna.
Oprah, I love you. But my friends I grew up with keep me very humble.
Nope.
They do not give me an inch ever.
That's important.
Yes, and I love it. I love it. Yes.
What do you think about the announcement of Lisa Rina after 8 seasons? Michael doesn't know this. She's off the show.
She's done?
It's happened yesterday.
It happened yesterday.
Like,
yeah.
By choice?
What is your vibe? Crystal's probably not going to say. I'm going to say, just seeing.
By choice?
I think that it's a mutual decision.
Yeah.
But I think when you mutually decide to part ways, it's a choice that the network allows you to say.
To announce.
It's a mutual decision.
Here's the thing. Only she knows.
Right.
And only the network knows. I don't dive deep into that. I think I wasn't really worried about anybody else. I was just thinking about what's my situation. And like, I am very good at managing my anxiety. I don't have a lot of anxiety, but the show has brought a lot of anxiety to my life, to be honest.
I would be in a straitjacket.
So yeah, so I've managed. So I'm like, okay, like I have lived the last few months because we wrapped, it aired, and no one's gotten their contracts yet. So I've just like lived my life, and when it happens, it happens. So I was not thinking really about everybody else. I'm always curious, but I'm like, okay, so I just like, if I get picked up, then who am I working with? So when I saw that, I was like, it was more about like, oh my God, it's like happening. You know, like the next season's happening. I'm like, oh God. So I think that she's been a great housewife. I mean, like I said, I used to watch. I walked onto there. She was real. I met her literally randomly a week before my first week of shooting. Very warm, and was like, if you need anything, you know, I'm here for you. It's this crazy situation. It's a crazy job. Am I surprised? Yeah, like I thought she was. I'm surprised. I thought she would defy.
Loved her as a housewife
yeah.
because has a huge personality and she brings it. One thing that I also was saying earlier today is it's like, I really think she approaches it as a job.
Well, she's a pro. I mean,
yes.
Back when she used to even go on the Stern show.
She understands that with the job, there needs to be a heightened sense of drama.
Right.
And so she brings it. And I think maybe this year, maybe it was too much for the audience.
Yes.
I'm not talking about me. I was like, okay, like this is her job. But
this goes back to what you were saying about building people up and then breaking them down. So I think what people have to remember, and again, this is like everyone has their opinions of how she handled things and whatever, because I just, it's not my personality. I'm not like that. But when you glorify and you constantly praise people, and then they level up because it's by nature, you're going to now try to reach that expectation. And then you're like, too much. Like, what are they supposed to do? You know, and that's the society that we're in now, right? You build. And it's like, we don't like that one step up and we're going to break you down. So that's why for me, it's a lesson that is, I'm just always going to be myself. I can't listen to anybody outside in the world. I can't fall into that trap. Because at the end, I need to just go home and go to bed and feel good about myself. And so it's surprising. It's not. There's a lot of chatter. But if she was back on again this year, it wouldn't have surprised me at all.
I'm looking so forward to seeing who the rest of the cast is. I'm going to predict that you're going to get cast again. That's my prediction.
Now I'm like so I have this weird thing.
Yeah, who do you think's coming back and who's not?
You, Kyle, Dorit, Kathy.
I don't know about that. I'm just saying when I have people that are on these properties on the show, now I'm more vested because now I know you, so now I'm gonna be
right. Now you're gonna watch me in a different way.
I'm gonna be yelling at the TV if anyone's mean to you. I'm like, hey,
thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna be screaming. I'm gonna get on these blogs. I'm gonna go on all these channels and be like, quit it.
Before we go, I have to ask this question.
Yeah.
Do you put the Lion King soundtrack on every single morning for your kids? Why?
That's weird.
Oh my God, I would do it every single morning if I was married to Rob.
That's literally like me, like packing real Coco in their lunchbox. Like we're like low key.
When my children are born,
weird.
I put the song on and I hold them up.
Well, you're allowed to.
Yeah.
And by the way, we love seeing like people message us all. Like that's been around for it's been 25 years, right?
It's amazing.
Almost 30 years. No, that would be really weird.
What's the coolest souvenir
he
has?
Housewives.
You guys probably have some cool souvenirs in your house. What's the coolest one?
It was actually shown on the show, which I love. It's in our library. It's the original clay designs of the characters. But one of my favorite things is actually from Stuart Little.
Okay.
So they used a model of the plane and like a little character, and it's like actually it's like the size of this table.
Okay.
And it's in our theater, and it's like this big plane.
That's cool.
Wait, when she says her theater too, is this the underground?
Yeah.
Okay, you got to tell them about the underground theater.
This is like a real theater.
You know this.
We have a movie theater.
No. But this is like you guys did it on the show, and it started as this one iteration and turned into something else, and now it's like a craft cocktail bar. That's like, this is not like a like.
And we have like a very cool golf simulator, which is awesome.
Yeah, this isn't like a normal theater.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I would watch The Lion King every day in there. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we've seen it a couple of times. But I was at the Pantages yesterday, and like Lion King is coming back. Like they're doing another run here, the show. And my friend was like, "Oh, we're gonna come." I can't watch it again.
You've done it.
Yeah. It's by the way, it's awesome movie. Everything is great. But it's a lot.
Your husband's like enough already. It's enough.
A lot, yeah. But at the end of the day, he's so. He's like, I can't believe it's like my legacy. Like
it's an icon. It's an iconic. Yeah, it's one of those.
From Lion King to Real Housewives, Crystal. I'm so excited to see you in the next season. I know you're going to be on. Come back anytime. Thank you so much. Where can everyone find you and buy a real Coco? Pimp yourself out.
Okay. I'm at Crystal Kung Minkoff on social. And you can find Real Coco in any Costco and on Amazon or my website, enjoyrealcoco.com.
I love it. And you guys, organic, pure, fat-free, gluten-free, delicious.
I was drinking one the whole time. I was drinking one the whole time.
Isn't it good?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I just got off this flight from Vegas and I'm all refreshed now. By the way, that's
why I make it with cocktails, because it's like counteracts hydration. And you want to keep your friends hydrated.
I was not doing a lot of hydration yesterday.
Maybe I'll go to cooking school.
Yes! Oh my God, that would be so amazing. Would you be so happy?
I mean, yeah, maybe the sky will turn green. Who knows? Let's see.
I do make a mean sandwich. All right, Crystal, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Crystal.